Get Into Geek, episode 24. We're talking season 2, episode 2, In the Line of Duty. We are Get Into Geek for the love of all things Stargate. Welcome one, welcome all. My name is Mitch. With me, the full Get Into Geek team, Matty Gibson.
That's going to be a new phrase for me. For the love of all things Stargate.
For crying out loud.
For the love of... Sorry, yeah.
Indeed.
Hi, I'm Matt. Hi.
He does that a lot. Brendan.
Hey.
Hey. And
That's how
Rhys.
it's done.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Come try out.
Rhys, if you are joining us for the first time, we are doing this for Rhys. Rhys is new to Stargate. The rest of us in the room, long-term Stargate lovers, and we finally convinced Rhys to start watching the show. And we said, hey, let's just get together and we can actually talk about it. We can talk about us three, about why we love it. We're going to relive it. And Rhys, we're going to find out with fresh eyes what the show's like 20 years on.
One of us.
Previously, I really didn't care much for Stargate, and then you guys started making in-jokes about it, and I'm like, well, I don't necessarily want to watch Stargate, but I want to know what you're joking about. I want to know what's so funny, so here we are.
This is basically going to be one, 8-year FOMO case for Rhys.
That is totally correct.
Oh, he's going to take us
I didn't get that
years.
reference. What does that mean?
He's going to take us fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll teach you about social media.
Jesus.
Okay,
off
so
air.
we're going to teach Rhys about Stargate. We're going to teach Brendan
Dude,
about...
I'm a 30-year-old male
We're gonna-
who's married and with 2 children. I just Facebook
Mate,
occasionally.
FOMO was over 2 years ago.
Some dick pics.
Like Drake said YOLO, and then I'm like, fuck that, I'm out of here.
I work in IT, acronyms in my life, but when they come into mainstream, nah.
No way. RAM is there forever, guys.
It was the
All right.
it was the pound sign long before it was a hashtag.
That's right. When I was a kid, it was just hash.
Yeah. Star 10 hash. Remember those days?
Now it's
Star
weed.
10 hash.
Now people are going, oh yeah, and the hash key, and they're like, what is that?
I was going to say how ripped off
Huh?
we are that we had star 10 hash, but in America they get star 69.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. You're sort of in on the joke from such a young age, aren't you? You know,
Yeah, but then now they got Trump, so it all evens out.
Jokes on them.
A very good day to our American listeners.
And what's
Thanks
his,
for writing in.
They agree.
Secretary of Staff, whatever it is, the media guy?
Oh, Sean Spicer.
He's an idiot.
Oh, Tia Leone, Secretary of State.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He's the gift that keeps on giving.
God.
He's fantastic.
What's in a SNL did a great bit on that.
Melissa McCarthy, yeah.
Melissa
She's done that a
McCarthy.
couple of times
She was
now.
great.
Well,
Was
you
it
are behind the times. That was a month ago, dude.
No, there was a new one. There was a new one where he said something about Hitler didn't even use chemical weapons, and we're like, have you heard of mustard gas?
That's right, yeah.
Have you heard of gassing of the Jews?
And
I
you
don't
really,
know.
and that's what you want. When you want to back up your argument, you want to use Hitler as something to, don't you?
I mean, this guy's worse than Hitler. No.
Well, that must have been, a couple of weeks ago, because I know just over a week ago, he was apologising for making the gaffe, they called it, on whatever I was watching on Twitter, this clip. And then he sort of tried to get around it by talking about Syria and Donald Trump's actions. And yes, we are talking about Stargate, and we'll get back to it in just a second, but talking about Syria, the Syrian action taken. And he actually said he didn't want that to distract from Trump's attempts to, quote, destabilize the region, talking about Syria. Not stabilize the region, because that's what you want to do in some place that's pretty messed up at the moment. You want to bring peace to it. To actually destabilize. Yeah. This is the guy that's essentially the voice of the president to the people
And didn't even
on an
correct
hourly
himself?
basis. No. Well, why would he? He doesn't know that
If
he's
you have
wrong.
someone that dumb,
Or maybe he's not wrong. I don't know.
well, don't tell him the truth, and then he won't accidentally say it.
I mean, there's playing dumb, and then there's Spicer.
Well, let's hope that the Stargate version of Spicer Kinsey comes back into a little bit later, and maybe we can think of some more.
Kinsey is Trump.
Right.
Spicer is Samuels.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah. All right, let's go to the DVD case. Let's find out what this episode is about. In the Line of Duty. On a daring mission to rescue victims of an interplanetary attack, Carter's body is inhabited by a Goa'uld. I say that differently every time. And now that Carter has brought the demon back to Earth inside her, Walter must find a way to destroy it without destroying Carter. All right, I want to kick us off with this one, because what I loved about this, just such a great opening. Like, it fades in from black, beach, looks nice. Boom, explosion, people running, people screaming. You're immediately there, go, shit.
It's like the first 15 minutes of Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
that's
it
what I
was. Yeah, this show's version of that. There's
wouldn't-
battle
I
scenes.
mean,
not,
obviously,
Carter's
that
not getting their
caliber.
arm blown off, obviously.
Less Tom Hanks.
But, they're running around.
Saving Private Ryan didn't have gliders flying past. I mean, that's got to beat right there.
They had it easy.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, there's gliders. There's
Two
people getting
gliders.
blown away. There's obviously an alien community. There's SG-1 trying to save them.
Stunt guys on air ramps being shot into the air.
Sparks off sand. Who knows how that works, but it did. Carter then trying to help
She's
a
trying to
person on the
make out-
ground. Taken over by a symbiote. No warning. Bang, it's happened. Her eyes glow. She's back in the base all before the credits roll. Like, what an opening to this show. And what it went on to become, obviously, a symbiote coming back to SGC without their knowledge, exactly the same as
Episode
season
2
one
of
started,
season
right?
1.
Yeah.
You know, it was SG-1 against Apophis in both episode 1s of their respective seasons. Episode 2, there is a mole, a Goa'uld mole.
Yeah. One of our
within-
team secretly gets infested in.
Yeah.
I could just imagine the meeting of the writers. Like, okay, how do we?
Speaking of which,
how do we?
Okay, elephant in the room.
Directed by the amazing Martin Wood, written by the tolerable Martin C. Cooper. Robert C. Cooper.
So when the writers got together, I can just imagine them saying, all right, so nothing of the host survives. How do we retcon that? Well,
Yeah.
we just do the exact same thing with the different outcome. That's it.
We make
we
it,
name it something different.
we make it
Yeah. We make a whole episode out of it.
a nice Goa'uld, and then it's fine.
Who's really
Yeah.
a dick, but just
Yeah.
they're all dicks.
Yeah. Well, and this is interesting too. This is actually the first time we see someone infested with a Goa'uld, because the Tok'ra are
Yeah, they're good.
genetically
Symbiotes.
they're still a Goa'uld.
Yeah, so that Goa'uld or the Tok'ra was getting hunted by
The Ashrak.
By the Ashrak.
Ashrak, which
Yeah.
is a
Assassin.
Goa'uld.
Yeah. So I think
Goa'uld
I
the
think-
hunter.
Goa'uld
Yeah.
assassin.
They're all the same
Right,
thing.
okay.
So I think the best way to describe it would be that the Tok'ra are like the Rebel Alliance and the Goa'uld are like the Empire.
Right.
So,
Okay.
the Tok'ra are trying to, do shady stuff.
Yeah.
One was in this old man on the planet. He was dead, snuck into Carter. So the Ashrak didn't care about Carter. He was just hunting the Tok'ra inside her.
Yeah, okay.
And then obviously at the end, the
And
Tok'ra...
to kill her would kill the Tok'ra,
Yeah, because
essentially.
the Goa'uld are still trying to get on board this whole, nothing of the host survives, trying to intimidate, all their slaves
okay.
and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so, the
So they
rebellion
can't,
doesn't rise.
kill a Goa'uld and then let the host survive, because their mandate is nothing of the host
course,
survive.
yeah.
So if it got out to the general public that someone was once host to a Tok'ra, and then it'd undermine what the Goa'uld are trying to do
okay.
with their oppression.
Rule by fear.
Yeah, and obviously this is one of the first chinks in the armor for the Goa'uld, showing that something of the host does survive. It's a choice by the actual serpent, the snake, because I guess we've got to assume that genetically they're the same as Goa'uld. It's just a philosophical difference.
Yeah.
And this is also the first time we see someone inhabited by a Goa'uld not talking with the flanged voice. Because if you think about it, the entire episode, Carter has the Goa'uld inside her,
course.
but she's talking with a normal voice. So it's
So,
a choice
Apart
by the,
from at the gate when she's like, I command you.
Yeah, when she's really trying to be, intimidating.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's the Goa'uld do that as a choice to talk in that flanged voice, to seem godly, because they can talk in this non-human voice to make their slaves, trick them into thinking that they're actually gods.
This has just got me thinking. So these Tok'ra, essentially they're born the same way as the evil Goa'uld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And grow up. And so in Bloodlines, when Jackson shot up that big fish tank of worms,
Yeah.
or snakes, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giblets.
Yeah, so essentially some of
Baby
them
shrimp.
could have grown up to be part of the rebellion.
At this point, yes. Later on in the series, we kind of find out, no, not really, because Goa'uld actually have genetic memory. So if, say for example, if humans had genetic...
Same lineage.
Yeah, if humans had genetic memory, it would mean you'd be born with all the knowledge of your parents.
And
So-
ancestors.
Right.
Yeah, so Goa'uld are born, when they're born, they have all the knowledge of their parents. So it's like,
Right.
not to get back onto Hitler, but it's like if Hitler had a baby and that baby had all the knowledge of Hitler, and then the grandson had the knowledge of both of those Hitlers. So that's why the Goa'uld are crazy and
Yeah,
megalomaniac.
okay.
The
Plus also the sarcophagus.
sarcophagus, yeah, which we actually find out in a couple of episodes,
Yeah.
don't we? Yeah. But the Tok'ra kind of have this philosophical difference to the where they choose that, like, they choose not to be gods and choose not to take slaves, and they actually want to defeat the Goa'uld. They'd actually be an awesome ally to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the
if we could
Tok'ra
get them.
like directly translate against Ra. That's how Daniel. That's what I loved about Daniel. How they meant Tilks mentions the Tok'ra, and Daniel kind of turns around and goes, "The Resistance." I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know that.
And to Teal'c, it's like it's almost like they're a myth. To Teal'c,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, because obviously he's been oppressed by the Goa'uld his entire life.
Yeah.
So I feel like only the top ranking Goa'uld would even know about the Tok'ra
Yeah,
because they act in such secrecy. So it's like, again, if the general population or the Jafar find out about the Tok'ra, it undermines, you know, because they're gods, they're all knowing. They couldn't have people to defy them.
Yeah.
So
of course.
it's made sense that Teal'c would kind of, even though Teal'c was kind of a resistance fighter within the Jafar,
At least
almost,
they exist.
it makes sense that Teal'c wouldn't necessarily know about the Tok'ra or just think that they're a myth or something that just doesn't exist anymore.
Such a like, forgive this term, sounds ridiculous from the outset, but such a Stargatey episode when, you know, you're talking about Tok'ra and then, like, you know, it means against Ra, and then, you know, the Tok'ra's name is Jolnar of Mokshor, and then Ashrak.
Such
like,
a noble sounding Jolnar of Melkshor.
we start to play around with their language a bit more and with terms that we understand. Like, off air, you, Maddie, and Brendan will be talking about things, you know, from season 4, season 10 or whatever, and you'll be saying the Goa'uld word for it. And you guys all know exactly what you're talking about. Me, I haven't watched this show for so many years, I've forgotten a lot of stuff. But you know this information because you're so in-depth into the world. And that's why I love this episode. Like, it's such a simple story in a way, but there's just so much world-building and universe-building sort of stuff. Like, there's this history. Like, until now, it's the Goa'uld, they're bad. Now it's like, well, the Goa'uld are actually split into two different belief systems, and it's good v evil,
Yeah.
and then
It's like
different factions of them.
It's like they've corrected the mistakes they made with Enemy Within, in that was just a glowy-eyed, mustache-twirling Goa'uld taking over Kowalski. Now we get all this interesting, you know, resistance, and the Goa'uld aren't all they make themselves out to be.
That's the
and
beauty
like
of the series continuation, is that you can get into these
and it's
political hierarchies.
And it's not like some of these newer shows that just hang an entire season on one little secret, unknown piece of information right at the end.
Yeah.
It's like this is organically building, and it's like obviously the more SG-1 goes out there into these different planets, the more aliens they're going to encounter and get exposed to all these.
Plus, the good
these
thing
different
is,
things.
if they ran out of ideas, they can go, oh, well, we left a loose thread over here. Let's fill that as an episode.
And it's not like every episode this season revolves around Jolnar of Melkshor. You
Yeah.
know, it's
but
one of those
doesn't Carter
things-
talk about it.
Oh, for the next, like,
Jesus.
it's basically her storyline for the next 3 friggin' seasons.
When Jolino was in me, it's like at the
Yeah.
best root of her life. She just can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
oh, someone get
Got
her,
a daughter to look after.
someone get her another symbiote for Christ's sake.
Yeah. But it's like the good thing is that I find this is the thread that starts, and as annoying as it does get Carter talking about Jolnar a lot for the next few seasons, it does give us a cool Martouf storyline. And again, I'm using words that Rhys will have no idea what they mean. But the more important thing, I think, is if
It's
it
an
weren't
infection that she gets.
I was going to say, that's what happens. That's a toothache, isn't
if
it?
it weren't
my
for,
tooth.
if it weren't for this, this pretty much just moving straight past it. You just keep going. You just keep
Good one,
going.
Dad.
I've watched this show for like 15 years and never thought about that.
Yeah. But it's like if we didn't have this episode, like this is the thread that leads to the brilliant storyline of Selmak. I feel like we wouldn't get the Selmak storyline without the Jolnar storyline, because the Martouf storyline kind of doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But the Selmak storyline, I think, is a great one.
Dead.
No, that's just a lot. You can cut that out.
You can't cut it out of Rhys's brain, dickhead.
Can he? Doesn't know,
Let's
he
be
doesn't know who
honest.
Selmak is.
I was literally looking at you and not listening to what you
I
were
was,
saying.
I was leaving it ambiguous
And that
that,
was just
Selmak could have been a planet or a disease or something. I didn't even
is.
say that Selmak was a
And
person.
that was just a nice quote from The Sopranos. I had to say it. Oh no, Matrix. It was the Matrix. It was the same dude.
Yeah, what's his face?
How can
Joe
you be the
Penzel.
one if he's dead?
I don't understand that reference.
The Matrix.
Joe Pantoliano.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sure. I know that guy. Yeah, sure.
The captain in Bad Boys, man. Just classic,
Yeah, that's
classic.
it. Yeah, 'cause
Short
that-
little angry man.
Because that's the one guy you remember from Bad Boys.
Oh, mate, he's, you know.
You
he's-
too.
In a movie with Will Smith and Tay Leone, it's like, yeah, that's who I'm going to remember.
Oh,
That
Will
was
Smith
Mark
and Taylor-
Lawrence.
Yeah, it's actually Matt Lawrence, sorry.
It's the other black guy.
Jesus, man.
I throw it back to you.
movie were you
Yeah,
watching?
yeah. Tay Leone's the one you remember from Bad Boys.
Will Smith.
Fucking hell.
Will Smith. Tia Leone.
Incorrect.
Martin
The
Lawrence.
Kevin Hart of the
Again,
90s.
incorrect. Yep.
Sorry, you're wrong again. Like politics, you're wrong. Emancipation, sorry.
You, Rhys, though, as the new viewer, you're watching the second episode of a season, and from the outset, from the first 5 minutes, it seems like it's going to be a direct, like, a remake
Replication,
of second episode of last season. At what point did you realise that it wasn't... Did you think it was almost too bad to be true, that they were going to completely walk over their own footsteps again, or did you...
At first, when she got the symbiote in her, and then symbiote. I always stuff that up. I'm just like, and then went back through the gate and didn't get found out. I'm just like, oh my god, this is Kowalski all over again.
Yeah.
But then, as the episode went on, I'm like, oh, it's the same, but better.
Well, it's like, it gets to a certain point though, because it's like, oh, we're just doing Enemy Within again. Oh, it's Enemy Within plus Cassandra. Oh, this could possibly be the worst episode ever.
Oh yeah.
But then
Can I just
somehow
say-
they managed to dig their way out of it.
I made a note about Cassandra. I said, while a not so great reminder of Singularity, which was not a great episode of season 1, I think it was definitely in our bottom 7 when we ranked all the episodes a couple of weeks ago. For me, it was one of the first like carryover story beats, at least for as far as characters go, and I did like that. Like she wasn't a big part of the episode.
I completely forgot
She
she was
was-
in this episode until it's like we saw her and I was like, oh no, not her.
But you
again.
know
But
what?
it was just that she was in there. It was
Why
like,
didn't
oh
she
yeah.
die last season?
But it was just that she
Should
was
have
there.
just left her down there even if she didn't explode. Starved to death.
They go back down there to throw another bomb there in 7 seasons. They're like, what is that? Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh, whoops.
Oh.
I thought you got it. Okay, just back up.
It's not like Carter literally has nothing to do with her.
Yeah, she's like, oh, man, Cassandra's been asking you about, and she's like, huh?
Oh, I've been busy.
Yeah, that thing.
Oh, yeah.
So you got-
Wasn't she done last
Remember
season?
how I adopted her? No, you didn't. You gave it to me. Exactly.
Yeah. And you've got.
You said you were going to pitch in. Haven't even been around
And
for
meanwhile-
6 months.
You've been
How
paying
is
child
Cass-
support.
How is Cassandra not more badass when her adoptive mother does that kick-ass entry on the gurney, doing the depression,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
like wheeling it in like it's ER or something, and I'm just
CPR.
like, that is like one of the most badass things Janet Fraser has ever done. Just chewing up the scenery, just in charge of everything.
I can only assume that Carter didn't know what happened to her when she got implanted because she came back and O'Neill's like, are you all right? I think in her, as her character, she would say, I think I got a Goa'uld in me if it hadn't already taken over.
No, I got the impression that as soon as her eyes glowed, Carter was gone.
But
Yeah.
she had this weird, strange, confused look on her head, in her face, like, what's going on?
I think that was the symbiote kind of going, oh, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah, like playing the role of Carter.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would have taken time for the symbiote to access Carter's memories, to learn
Hmm.
who she was, what was going on. Because he was just, as Joel and I in The Old Man, he was part of that little tribe that was being attacked. So I think it
Yeah.
must have just been a very
Yeah.
jarring. And I don't know
Go
if
from
this.
an ugly old man to a hot chick.
Yeah.
Score.
And obviously, what we learn later on about the Tok'ra is they're all about taking a host with consent.
Yeah. Why didn't Teal'c detect the symbiote? Because later the traces of Nakoda and Cassandra's blood made her detect that the Tok'ra was in Carter. Obviously, they retcon this later because Teal'c's symbiote does a little tickle in his belly when he senses a Goa'uld, basically. Fucking Cooper. That's all I can say.
I'm
Put it
confused.
down to that.
What?
Well, the reason Cassandra was in the episode was because she
Yeah.
detected
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Tok'ra in Carter.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't Teal'c detect that as well?
Teal'c doesn't have Nacra in his blood.
Yeah, but he can detect Goa'ulds, you know that.
Can he?
Yeah.
At this point?
No.
Rhys,
Well, no,
have
that's
you
what I'm
ever
saying.
heard-
He can't at this point, but he does in the future.
Yeah, well, again, it's
Well,
one of
You
those
can't
things.
talk
That's
about
not
the
this ep-
future, can we?
But if that's the case,
Well, I
that's
can.
not
I've
this
seen it.
episode's fault. That's later on. Like they
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have introduced that later.
No, it's Cooper's fault.
The point I'm trying to make.
I'm happy to rubber stamp that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, based on that logic, though, you should be saying, well, then why can't Teal'c use a ribbon device or a hand device or any like a healing
Oh,
device?
he's not a.
He
he's not
can't
a
use any of
Jafar.
that. You need that
He's a
because you got
Jafar.
Nacra in your blood. So I feel like it's probably the other episode's fault that Teal'c probably shouldn't be able to sense Goa'uld.
He probably wrote that too.
Yeah, if it comes to him
Find
writing
out.
it, and he didn't
Yeah.
research his own
I'm just writing a
episodes.
note
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, please
just
do.
Put it
We're
in the
gonna come
official
back.
notes for the episode, and we'll come back to it.
Are you
I'm
talking about
first
the
'cause-
elephant? The other elephant in the room? Where they try to take out Carter. So they're in the gate room and Jack shoots her. And then they look at Fraser because she didn't go down. She goes, that was enough to kill an elephant. I'm like, why? Based on the word of an alien child, probably suffering from PTSD, why would you give Carter a lethal dose? Potentially lethal
No,
dose.
Yeah.
it wasn't enough to kill an elephant.
Tranquilizer.
It's that there was enough to take down an elephant.
Yeah.
Surely that's
So it
enough to
should
kill a human.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
An elephant's like at least 10 humans.
but they experimented on Kowalski's Goa'uld, so
But they didn't know
Not
for
well
sure
enough. That's why
that like
they
they're going
took
off
down
the
that.
word of her. She detected, oh, really, you psycho child who's probably
You could have you
suffering
created
from PTSD.
and you created the genocide in your own planet for all we know.
Yeah.
Like
Who hates Carter because she hasn't come to see her enough, so she's like, I don't care.
alien, evil alien.
yeah.
hadn't Carter done some sus stuff by that point?
No,
She hadn't.
not at all.
Yeah. Well, f- you, Robert Cooper.
Yeah.
That was enough to kill a small village. Shooter.
The problem I had with Robert C. Cooper's writing this episode was
We're all on board.
the
Yeah.
Ashrak is like in a full body cast in hospital.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just pull Jolinar and jump into the doctor and then take the doctor's body off rather than stay in his own body, wrap the doctor up in the bandages and put him on the bed, only for them to discover later on that was the doctor? Like if he'd left his original
Yeah.
body
They should
and
do that a lot.
it
more.
died.
Yeah.
Well, then they would have gone, oh, okay, well, that poor man from the old planet just died from his injuries. And the Ashrak is now in the doctor,
Yeah.
unknown to anybody.
Yeah.
Yes, he does have to
And
vomit
then
up
Jackson wouldn't have
he
seen.
does vomit up his little device or whatever, his little weapon. But I just feel like, why wouldn't you just jump in the doctor and then...
Yeah.
Because surely that doctor's got clearance to,
Yeah.
to be in the base and stuff like that. So...
It wasn't that. That's a him just getting into the base, wasn't that just great?
Who?
The Ashrak.
Oh.
We've said it before in this
Oh,
podcast
yeah.
about
Dressed
how
up.
Bad the security is.
Yeah.
Now,
He
correct
does
me
the
if I'm
Jedi
wrong.
mind trick, though.
Because I did watch this, a couple of days ago. I've done other things since. So that shot of the Ashrak going up to the security guard, was it in a long hallway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looked strikingly like Austin Powers creeping past Christian Slater
thought
in
the
Austin
same
Powers.
thing.
I wrote
want to
that
say,
down.
I
yeah.
wanted him to say orange sherbets.
It's even on he walked the same side of the desk to get around. Like it's the same set. 1990. They've made this in the same freaking year. They might have used the same set. Oh my god! It's a wonder they didn't throw Slater in there as a bit of a cameo.
That's what I was.
Holy crap!
But
But yeah, what have we spoken about this 10 times now? That their security is piss poor. And after last episode, a shite load of more people know about the Stargate now.
yeah.
Yeah.
As if they're not telling people and they're just creeping around. Oh, what's going on? I heard that there's some bang, punches someone. They're in the base. They're traveling to another planet.
Yeah. With the aliens from the other planet that they brought to Earth to like heal, the markings on their face. Do you guys reckon those were just decorative marks? Were they tattoos? Were they part of their skin?
I would
Like, what do you
assume.
reckon?
Well, I think at the first bit I thought it was part of their skin, but knowing that they're all human, I would say they're tattoos, tribal
Yeah.
tattoos.
Yeah.
Would've said
Especially the
tattoos.
way that I think they dressed, where their village was sort of set up. It sort of seemed like it was.
Well, here's the problem I have: is didn't the Ashrak have tattoos at the start of the episode? But then once he gets up out of the hospital bed, he puts on an Earth uniform, and he's got nothing on his face.
Well, he did heal himself, so if you're healing from a burn, they might have burnt off the.
That's not a bad thought.
Oh, I guess I said tattoo. I was probably thinking more face, but yeah, you got to think it would be a more permanent thing than just like a
Not that
war
I'm trying to
paint
fill
type.
holes of Robert C. Cooper's writing
Yeah.
here.
It's just
We could be
because
horror all day.
Daniel.
I
Does,
mean, I agree. Terrible.
Daniel does go talk to the wife of Jolinar's previous host, and she's still got all her markings on her
Yeah.
face and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was just one of those sort of.
Yeah, it's definitely
I
permanent.
get. Yeah. I
Lazy-
guess if you
lazy plot
burn,
writing.
if your skin gets burned, it's gonna burn off a tattoo. I guess. I mean, I've never burnt off a tattoo.
At
before.
least
I think that's what laser tattoo removal is.
laser.
Now, the last couple of weeks we've been speaking a bit about world building. This one, the off-site hospital, where all this went down, where these people were sent
Yeah.
from this other. Is this the first off-site location we've seen that's in proper cohorts with the SGC. Like
I don't think
everyone
they
there,
are.
do
It's the
you think everyone
Academy-
there knows what's going on?
No, it's the Academy Hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's and it even says that the doctor says to the guard, "Oh, are these people going home?" Like the asterisk says, "Are these people going home?" And the security guard goes, "Oh, well, yeah, you could say that." He's
Yeah.
not allowed to tell the
So I-
doctors.
Yeah.
and the
yeah, I
staff.
feel like
Right,
there was
okay.
the
The
military
Academy
knows
Hospital.
about it, and I mean,
Yeah.
as far as the doctor knows, I guess they're just going to be
They
human.
are human. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So I think, and it might even just have been a cordoned off section of the hospital or something like that that only certain doctors were allowed into, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it is interesting though that Frasier has an office there and
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a huge.
Surely,
office.
aren't you more important now than just working at some normal
Yeah.
hospital? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're the number one doctor in the
Yeah.
most secretive place in the
And
in
it's
the
like
world.
getting down to level 28 of a secret military installations. Probably not quick. So I was like, if she's hanging out at that hospital and someone comes through the gate with like a leg that needs to be reattached,
Yeah.
she's not helicoptering in pretty quick or anything like that. It's going to take her a while to get there.
Yeah, I mean, not taking a while to get through security, obviously, just physically getting down that far.
Just waiting for the
The
lift.
elevators,
just-
The elevators just working really slowly.
Ah, the lift's broken. Have to take the stairs.
yeah.
Guys,
Stargate
Joel and Art knows where Sharay is.
Oh, yeah.
Or does
Then-
he / she?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's.
I was just trying to mess with Rhys.
I
that's
honestly don't remember. It's just what I've got written down here.
Yeah, she
I'm
did.
glad you mentioned it because they actually used when he mentioned it, they used the Sharay, if you can call it the Sharay music. You know, it was an
Yeah.
old throwback to their theme, the Daniel
The
Sharay,
chimes or whatever
the
it
love
is.
theme, if you want
Yeah.
to call it that. Yeah, Into the Goa'uld music as well.
I
like,
read somewhere that in one of like the books that someone wrote, I don't know whether it's an official book or like whether it's part of canon or not. I don't know whether Stargate has like canon books that are attached. But somewhere it does say that Joel and I did actually, in fact, know where Sharay was. It wasn't just a lie to get
What a
Daniel
random
on side.
general knowledge to have in a book, though. Was it about Joel and I?
Yeah, I think it was a story about Joel and of Malkshaw and
how boring.
previous posts. Yeah.
Well, they did make
Hence why I
out
haven't
Joel and
read
Art.
it.
They did make Joel and Art out to be this like very, very big, important figure.
Yeah,
in the
and
Tok'ra.
he
So
was.
I have to feel for Rhys on this one, Brendan. Given that you given him quite a few quizzes over the first season on to see if Rhys has been paying attention. One of the things you threw at him quite a couple of times was asking him questions about system lords, and he would always just give you dead behind the eyes, blink, blink, blink. A bit of trivia I saw for this episode. This is, in fact, only the second time in the entire series so far that the term System Lord has actually been mentioned. And the first time it was
How
mentioned,
much?
the second time, the first time was the hologram of Thor, just in the background talking about the
Yes.
good. Yeah. So I feel for Rhys because it obviously makes sense that Rhys would not have sort of
Sharay,
would have
Abydos,
locked-
Apophis, and 2 SG1 members in the original. Boom.
What about?
Rhys, I will get to the way I was thinking, considering I have seen this episode before, but not for a long time. How did you think this was going to end? And whether or not you want to compare it to episode 2, Enemy Within from last season, where obviously evil Goa'uld, nothing more about it, tries to escape, and it gets killed. Knowing that it was a Tok'ra, still doing dickish things, as Brennan said, but ultimately a good version of a Goa'uld.
Yeah.
How did you see this episode was going to end?
Yeah, I guess watching it, I didn't really think about it. I mean, obviously, it's going to be obvious knowledge that Carter is going to survive. So I guess, honestly, I didn't think about it throughout the episode too much.
Because in a way, it's almost a sequel to the Enemy Within. It's like Enemy Within sets up that if you get a Goa'uld in you
You're
on
done.
Earth,
Dead.
you're
done.
done.
Yeah.
But it's like, so that's, you see
year
Carter's
on.
eyes light up, you go, she's done. But then you're like, she's in the credits.
Yeah.
And the question is literally, how are they going to get out of this?
Yeah,
It's
'cause,
really-
in
it's
the
not
end-
will they get out of it, it's how will they get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, when you saw the 2 different brainwaves on the screen, I'm thinking, well, maybe the Tok'ra is just going to lay low and let Carter live out her life. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
And she'll have a junior inside the same way Teal does.
yeah,
Just-
and just call on her when she needs to do smart stuff. But I think the ending was pretty, I guess, noble, and which in turn tells you what the Tok'ra is very selfless group. That's what the impression gives me anyway. So
Yeah. The last scene had a weird vibe for me. Carter in the hospital bed. It was almost the way she was playing it, the look on her face. to me, it almost had that vibe of like miscarriage. And I don't want to bring it down, but
Yeah.
that's to me, that's kind of the way Carter was playing it, and no one could console her about it.
Yeah, it was such a personal connection that no one could possibly
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and all Cassandra does is just sit on her bed and touch her arm, and she rolls over and she's fine again.
No,
'Cause
well,
she's like, "Oh, I've got this other surrogate daughter."
I thought it was like more of
It is-
a breakup, and then personally because
okay.
they're on that level, but then when she turns around, I had the same feeling that when Cassandra came that she was going to be okay, but she wasn't this time around. I saw. I'm
I
like,
think
because
because
I thought she hugged her or some shit, but she didn't do that.
Carter did make the comment like she basically sacrificed her life for mine, which I think obviously is going to be an emotional thing. Like, okay, that person just died for me, or not person, but they just died for me, which is going to be emotional.
and someone
but
you would know, for lack of a better term, intimately, in that their memories that she basically knows
In her
everything.
brain.
Joel and I knows it's it's the most intimate experience
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
have, more intimate than what we can experience. So yeah, it definitely would be a loss of. It'd be like losing your partner or your best friend or your parent or
yeah,
literally part of yourself dying.
yeah.
So I get that.
And I guess a sense of guilt as well. Obviously, Carter's thinking, there's something bigger than me out there that is trying to kill the Goa'uld or rise up against them. And I guess, the feeling of guilt that I'm responsible for killing this Tok'ra that could have been, a big player in the game.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. Maybe it was the way it was shot more than maybe the way that Amanda's having played it, but that, just the look on her face to me conveyed like this weakness and loss that I guess I've not seen from her before. So maybe that's what, to me, it kind of had that, maybe it's just the way it was shot because she was in a hospital bed. Maybe if she was just like at home, mourning at home on her own, I wouldn't have got that. But because she was in the hospital bed and curled up in the fetal position, that's where I got the weird miscarriage vibe that just was really unsettling. Not in a bad way. It's like, that's what you want. You want things to feel uncomfortable, and it should have. But
I guess we
it was
don't
a
really
weird tone.
We don't really see feminine Carter a lot. Which the only other time I can remember is when the Cassandra down in the hole, down in the bunker.
There's that great female empowerment episode from season 1. What was it called again?
Wiped
I'll
it from my
stab you
memory,
with
I
a
can't
knife.
tell you.
No, but you're right though. I think
that's a
that's
good point.
almost not the theme of the episode, but for lack of a better word, they're redoing things they have done before, but just doing it better. Like they've done the essentially story of the enemy within. They're touching on the other side of Carter, like you said, Rhys, that we rarely see, if at all. They're doing it better. So while season 2 kicks off with you needing the backstory that season 1 has given you, it's almost not a retcon. That's too strong of a word, but
Relaunch.
yeah, relaunch. They're relaunching the series, but it's also a continuation. So
Yeah, it creates more questions rather than putting, the first episode and the movie.
You're
together.
launching off the Tok'ra storyline.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's always been black and white, Goa'uld evil, us good.
Yeah.
And now there's this murky greyness in the middle of this Tok'ra.
Not for Jack though.
Yeah.
Not for Jack.
Nope. It's black
He
and
hates
white.
all the snakes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a cool little thread too. Like it's no spoiler to say to Rhys the Tok'ra, this isn't their first and only appearance,
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, no,
it's
if you look forward, I think episode 12 is literally titled The Tok'ra.
yeah, well,
That's not on this.
Yeah, I think to introduce Tok'ra, who then talks about the rebellion and Tilk, etc. Talking about, I think that's pretty obvious. Yeah, it's going to be
And potentially a powerful ally. Like
Yeah.
the only allies we really have at the moment are the Nox, who we can't get in touch with,
they're not going to fight either.
who are now with the Tolan, the Land of Light from
Shit.
Broca Divide.
Yeah,
Neanderthals.
scratch them.
and Argos. Those two are lower technology than us, really no good to us except if we want, baskets of fruit. The Tolan themselves said, we're not going to go live with them.
We've got a party
they're
coming
pathetic.
up.
Which one's Argos?
Argos is Brief Candle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they
the
suck.
people, Kinthia and
Oh, she was hot though.
and the so we've got these two lower advanced human planets than us who are more than willing. They want to be our friends. They want to help
These
us
ones
out.
were called the Nishayan.
Just like we want to be
Yeah.
the Noxus
Nasia.
friends.
Yeah, so we've got these two races on one hand who are lower technologically advanced than who want to be our friends, who are kind of no good to us. Then we've got the Nox and the Tolan, who we want to be allies with,
Yeah.
who aren't willing to be allies with us because we're not advanced
Yeah,
enough.
they see us in the same light as we see the
ants.
Yeah.
Pizza cake chick.
So the Nox.
Yeah, the land of the lake. They suck. Yeah, okay.
We're not giving you guns.
We're those guys.
So the Tok'ra are potentially an ally that, could actually come in handy to
Yeah.
us.
They're definitely the most attainable allies or potential allies at this point because really up until now, I think the Jafar were the only other potential allies that we could get. That,
I like the way you said potential there.
Well, but at the moment, because like you got Teal'c, and he's there going, we've got Braytek, 2 Jafar that are in the fight against the Goa'uld, and Braytek says there are others, but there's you don't feel like it's many, and you get the feeling they're going to go and try and recruit more Jafar, but it's going to be a pretty fruitless campaign for a long while.
It's dangerous.
All
If
of
you
a
talk
sudden,
to the wrong Jafar and you expose yourself,
Yeah.
you don't believe in these gods, and you get a staff blast. To the
all of a
face.
sudden it's like you're actually going to the problem itself, the Goa'uld, but they're the good Goa'uld. So yeah, it's just such a Stargatey
It's almost
episode.
kind of-
Such world building. I love it.
I like that. How you say that. You don't. It's kind of how I like to make friends. I'll go, so what about Jesus and that? And they're like, oh, he sucks. I'm like, good, we can be friends.
That's right.
That's the line.
All right, that is episode
Go on
24. Episode 24 of Get Into Geek, Season 2, Ep 2, in the line of duty. I think we're off to a good start here, boys. I know I was an okay fan of Enemy Within last year. You guys pretty much across the board otherwise.
Yeah.
Not great.
No, I like this.
But I think
This
first
one was good.
we're 2 for 2, I think, in so
Yeah.
far
Yeah.
this season. So
Already better. So episode 3
Prisoners.
hopefully
Next
doesn't go
week.
the way of Emancipation.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it won't.
Oh, I hope there's a really strong female character in it. That'd be awesome.
Who
And-
kills everyone.
and does she fight as badly as Carter did last year and
Mate,
not run because
That
she's got her
knife
hands
fight
tied?
was awesome.
Yeah.
She held it reversing. I know I'm going to get shit for this, but I don't care. I'm the Kate Ritchie of this show. I would put
Shout out to our Nova family.
I would put Carter with her reverse held knife up against Stallone's Rambo, and she would kick his ass.
Well, don't be ridiculous.
My-
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Jesus.
Like I was willing to hear what you had to say,
Yeah.
and then
Oh my god, you're actually putting your feet up on the
Mic
desk
drop. I'm out. I'm done.
Carter couldn't beat Stallone of today.
No.
when he's
No.
asleep.
Hey, yo, stop tickling.
Hey, can you get that knife out of my throat?
Are you the
please?
chick from the American flag in the nude? Yeah. You
hot.
keep tickling me. Yeah.
You're my second favorite, Captain Powers.
Feel my knife.
That's Travolta.
Oh, I didn't know I could do Travolta. That's great. That's good, man.
Don't try to do Travolta because otherwise you won't be able to do
I can't do
Travolta.
it.
All right, that's episode 24 of Get Into Gate. You can find us on the socials if you want to join in the chats. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram simply at Get Into Gate. Personally, myself at Mitch_Lewis, Twitter and Instagram. Maddie, where can we find you?
I'm already gone. I'm not here.
Okay,
No,
sure.
High Pitch Matty on Instagram.
High Pitch Maddie on Instagram. Brendan, where can we find you, mate?
At the John Travolta. At the Brendan Gibson.
Okay, so your Stallone sounds like Travolta. Your Travolta sounds like Vin Diesel.
No, this is Vin Diesel. That's his acting range.
I am good.
Wow.
No, that was good.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one. What I want to do as a stitch up is just edit out all of our accent chat there. So when I ask you who you are, you're like, hey, I'm John Travolta. For no reason
That
whatsoever.
would be a cracker.
Rhys, where can we find you, buddy?
I am at the Flying Gibson.
And if you want to check out any of our old podcasts, if you are joining us for the first time, we're not always like this, but, it's a bit of fun.
I want to say more often than
More
not.
often than not. Sure, so this is our 24th episode. We are doing one episode per week for Stargate as we re-experience it along with Rhys for the first time. You can go back, SoundCloud and iTunes, all of our podcasts available there. We will be back next Sunday, Stargate Sundays, hashtag that, episode 3 of Season 2, Prisoners. See you then, boys.
GetIntoGeek.com.